What's going on, world? It's your boy Gemini Brown here, back with another episode of Nalo Kicking Knowledge. It's Top 5 Tuesday, and we're going to be taking a look at 5 aspects in astrology that can make one a bit emotionally difficult or possibly unavailable, and we shall explore. So let's get into it. It is Cancer season, pertaining to the moon, the home, our emotions, right? Our emotional patterns. And I'm a practicing astrologer as well as an intuitive being. So this is definitely something that needs to be sprinkled into the ethers. And I'll start with saying this. A lot of the spiritual journey is about self-consciousness, self-awareness. And within these different departments, particularly when we focus on like our moon sign and then going into relationships, there is something called emotional responsibility, and we can even look at it in the square between Cancer and Libra, right? We have our emotions and things that we feel, impressions and all of that, and also the things that we're taught, home, fourth house, how we're taught to deal with those things, and then we go out with others, and it's ours versus theirs. Okay, and sometimes that's going to clash, and Libra kind of teaches us like we have to like learn to adjust or find balance within partnerships, i.e. compromise. And what I find, from practice is a lot of times people who are emotionally difficult, sensitive, even distant, they're not always aware of themselves, and it's just very important to be so. Even let's say you're something in this gets mentioned and it applies to you, but you don't feel like it does. You can let it fly, or you can dig deeper. And I can tell you, as someone who's doing the work and always seeking to grow, there are times where you have to like say, I don't feel that way about myself, but let me explore. And the more you can, it's like the less you get blinded by ego, and you can always find the understanding and things of that nature. So I just wanted to preface that with this. But these are my observations, and like I said, we could make many of these videos, but I kind of just want to center it, around a certain type of flavor. Okay? So the first position I want to talk about is the moon and Mars, but specifically the moon in conjunction with Mars. Rather than say the moon in aspect to Mars, which would entail, the different forms, the opposition, the square, I'm just going to go with the conjunction because the energies are actually aligned. And here, the difficulty comes in the sense that Mars is a malefic, and the sign that this ends up in is going to be so key, as it will be for any moon. Okay, because the moon is receptive, so it really adjusts to where it's at. But let's say we get a exalted Mars here in Capricorn, conjunct a moon. This is someone who wants no parts of emotional diplomacy. Okay, naturally it is like I'm not focused on cultivating deeper aspects in that regard unless it makes sense towards what I'm building, right? Then this can, let's say we throw this in Libra. For further insight, we'd really need to know the house, and then we'd also need to follow where Venus is. Okay, so Venus's flavor on this is going to be big. It's going to show whether or not the person can, rather than be difficult, truly achieve balance and harmony, and also know when to stand up for oneself. So the sign overall is going to show us the difficulty and how that may play out. But the thing here with Moon and Mars is that no matter what sign it is, you're going to get a taste of that person's anger or their aggression. If you're around them, right, this is just a part of their natural rhythm. There will be blow-ups. Now there could be situations where maybe this is in the 12th and the person just keeps that to themselves the majority of the time. The way energy goes, there will be particular blow ups still, okay? But point being here is that the holder of this energy has a great effect. And as I was saying before, it's almost like a responsibility of how like I display this or use my Martian force. But overall, can be difficult just because of the natural malefic and warrior-like mentality of Mars. Let's stir some shit up, okay? That's kind of the mentality. But even if it's in humbling positions, it's still gonna have that rhythm. I want to stress that. So it's like no one is holier than thou here, and we all have a shadow and a dark side and shit that needs to be expressed. When you get it here, it's just a much bigger part of who you are. Okay. And I would just add that, as a fucking Gemini, if I came across someone with Moon Mars conjunct in Gemini, I'd run like fucking hell. That's a volatile motherfucker right there. Pardon language, but moving on. Continuing the theme of malefics, Moon Saturn. Moon Saturn. Okay. Can be different. Now, this doesn't have to be contingent just on the conjunction. Saturn is a heavy energy. Okay. It's a heavy energy. Moon is an emotional energy. This person may be within themselves prone to particular bouts of depression, but I don't want us to get too crazy with that. The spiritual perspective of depression is just times of going within to figure out how to get where you need to be, but needless to say, this makes the emotions of a person heavy on themselves, which therefore in the case of trying to balance that with others becomes a little bit more difficult too. And I would say you definitely want to pay attention to Venus's and Saturn's relationship too, in regards to that, as well as houses pertaining to those planets. But reason I say that, because it's going to show like if whether or not, so if the Venus is in a favorable position, they'll be willing to kind of try within this regard to figure it out. But if maybe there's like let's say like a Saturn in the 5th or 4th, there may just be a natural I'll be alone for the rest of my life kind of thing, right? And that person internally acknowledging that, I don't know how to deal with this area of life, or this area of life is too heavy for me to deal with. Furthermore, let's say, you're living with this kind of person. Person doesn't necessarily have to be argumentative. It is just within being within that habitat, your moon becomes receptive towards the energy they're kicking. So let's say it's a Gemini moon or a Libra moon that thrives on a particular type of balance or light energy, may not be getting that from the Moon Saturn person, okay, which therefore has particular effects. So like I said, we want to be conscious of our energy. So it's deep. And I'm making this, on the eve of this full moon in Capricorn. Real shit. Next position, we're going to go to sign now. And I'm going to bring in the moon in Capricorn. So, very interesting. And I encourage all my students and, you guys out there, spend time each day with just like different positions and really like, channel it, seek to become it, connect with it, and understand it. So with that said, I find in my I'm a Virgo moon, I have a good host of other Capricorn moons and overall Earth moons around me. And, you know, within my practice, I find this is a truly difficult position for the moon. And this obviously is a position that is capable of achievement and making things real, but the actual peace and enjoyment. Keep in mind with the moon, it's emotional rhythm. Emotional rhythm. And that emotional peace and just sense of well-being is foreign to that moon in Capricorn. Even if it lasts for periods of time, and like I said, there will be great success, but it's almost like the person is outrunning or can't outrun the internal despair or just lack of I'm gonna say peace, right? And a lot of times, for me, my advice, you know, to these people is that you gotta feel, you gotta learn, you gotta feel, you gotta get comfortable with that. Like the emotions are meant to be experienced, and you know, some are really good, and you know, some are lower, but you relate more towards the lower ones. So this is similar to what I said before, is why it can be difficult or distant, is because it's hard for them to face it, or hard for them to find that center of peace within self. So when it comes to others, it makes it a little bit more difficult. Yeah, obviously if you get, you know, some support here, you get, you know, Venus lighting this up. I'm not saying Neptune, but if you can get favorable things here, it eases it. But what I always try to show people is this: energy is the energy at a particular point, and here in the reality is how you evolve it. And naturally, it's progressing, you know, but it's with the awareness and other fine tunings that we can really get it. But yeah, Moon in Capricorn can be quite a tough one. Okay, so then bring a little bit more depth here. I also find that let's put, we're gonna add here. So the moon in Scorpio is debilitated position. I won't go with like the moon in the 8th house. Let's say we get like a moon in the 8th house with like some 12th house energy. Now keep in mind, everything has its highs and its lows and whatever. So at one clip, this could really produce someone really spiritually in tune, mystical, all of that. But remember, this is the human realm, and we're talking about in terms of like understanding people, getting close to them, enjoying their energy. This, to be honest, this is a trickster. This is a trickster, and this is at a deeper clip. Because of that moon in the 8th house, there could be a darker energy around the person depending on just, you know, who it is. And I'll just say it for whoever needs it. But say if this applies to, you know, someone, say it's someone you know out there, particularly fellas, and like the person's kind of driving you crazy or whatever, run. I joke, but no, that is it's an intuitive thing about showing you that difficulty that surrounds them. Because I could even bring the 4th house in this, because they're all psychic houses. But when there is like a inner chaos or inner guardedness or whatever it may be, that might surround those kind of people, on a outside effect and on an outside level, intuitively, for the person around them, that manifests as like I said, not a confusion, not being able to like figure the individual out, power struggles, all of that. And then that's where you get into, people who could perceive one as like manipulative, all of those things. Okay. So keep that in mind. Okay. Because when I get asked something astrologically, I explain it to people, but someone can explain to you, but if you can't see something and know what it is, you kind of miss the mark. Okay. But yeah, at that deeper level, house combinations, okay, particularly there, because 8th house secrets, 12th house deeper secrets, unconscious secrets, things like that, okay, and then lastly, moon square Uranus. This is difficult from the standpoint that the person is just naturally not consistent, right? Like it's translated in which they value like freedom or rebelliousness, right? So whatever is considered traditional or particularly what a person might want from them, it is a natural instinct to kind of go against that. Okay, so overall, these can be just difficult people to build a solid connection with, even as friends. Even as friends, because they may have a lot of friends, depending on how their chart is set up, or just be consistently changing a lot. Okay, so yeah, Moon square Uranus. I could go on that one some more too, but I'll park it here. So I want to hear y'all feedback. Let me know, who's been emotionally difficult for you. All right. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, you could do so now. Check out my book, Astrology of the Matrix. Till next time, peace.